Hello dear students. Today's class I am going to explain about the bioinorganic chemistry. So previous session I have explained you about the bioinorganic chemistry importance of some of the elements. So sodium element I have explained. I have explained about the calcium. I have explained about the chloride. I have explained about the iron. In today's session, we are going to see about the remaining elements and toxicity of the some of the elements. So, already I have explained this one, chemistry of the life. Okay, so living bodies made of many compounds, having many elements, all the reaction process, nothing but this. Now we have classified essential elements into microelements and microelements, the elements which are required in more than 1 mg. Okay, so more than 1 mg. So it's nothing but such type of elements per day are nothing but per day it's nothing but the macro elements. Micro elements which are less than 1 mg, here that's printing mistake. Now what are the macro elements and micro elements? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, chloride. And similarly micro elements, copper, zinc. Yeah, I'm giving you the brief introduction. So micro elements which are required in less than 1 mg per day are called micro elements. Here it's the printing mistake. Okay, so less than 1 mg are nothing but the micro elements. So copper, zinc, chromium, molybdenum, cobalt, iodine, fluorine, these come under the micro elements. So we know the important essential elements under that micro and macro and non-essential elements. Previous session I've discussed, again I gave you the brief review of the previous. Now let us go for the importance of the cobalt. So once if I say cobalt, what you remember is nothing but the cyanocobalamin. Cobalt, even this is an element. Cobalt, which type of element is that? So cobalt, it is the micro element. Cobalt, it is the micro element. So this element, it is required less than 1 milligram per day is called micro element, and cobalt comes under this category. Now we'll see the importance of this cobalt. So cobalt, it is nothing but vitamin B12. Cobalt, it is vitamin B12, cyanocobalamin. Cyanocobalamin. So this cyanocobalamin, it is very important. Its chemical nature, vitamin B12, B complex. Vitamin B12, it is nothing but complex multiple ring structure it will be having, which is enclosed with the cobalt atom in the center. It is the cyanocobalamin, vitamin B12, its function. So cobalt function is nothing but the function of the vitamin B12. So it is derived from the factors, nothing but important factors here, methylmalonyl coenzyme isomerase. It requires 5-dehydroxy adenosyl cyanocobalamin. So two reactions function. Vitamin B12, it is derived. So cofactors are used for the two important reactions. The cyanocobalamin, it is nothing but the cofactor. So methylmalonyl CoA isomerase, it requires 5-dehydroxy adenosyl cobalamin. So once if this is present, this enzyme, the biological activity can be carried out. Similarly, for the homocysteine, tetrahydrofolate methyl transferase requires methylcobalamin. It requires methylcobalamin and N5 methyl tetrahydrofolate. Okay, so for these two functioning, for these two enzymes activation, it is nothing but it acts as the cofactor along with the vitamin B12. Cobalt is present in the vitamin B12 complex. Vitamin B12 vitamin. So it is nothing but vitamin B12 cobalt, it's nothing but cyanocobalt. In this you are having cobalt. Along with that there are some more reactions where this cobalt is acting as a cofactor. So that is nothing but methylmalonyl coisomerase requires 5-hydroxyadenosyl cobalamin. This cobalamin contains the cobalt. Okay. Similarly, homocysteine tetrahydrofolate tetrahydromethyltransferase requires methylcobalamin. So in this way, it is having two functions. Vitamin B12, it is absorbed in the ileum as a complex. It is absorbed in the ileum as a complex with the intrinsic factor, nothing but gastric mucosa. It's absorption. Generally, vitamin B12, if it is deficient, again, that is why we'll discuss in detail. Once if this vitamin B12 deficiency of cobalamin, again you'll be having pernicious anemia, degeneration of the spinal cord neurons, degeneration of the spinal cord neurons. Okay, so this cobalt is very important in our, though it is a micro element, it plays an important role. So the source is cobalt. It is essential constituent of the fertile soil, and not only that requirement. Once if you see, it is an essential constituent even for the fertile soil. It is present in some of the enzymes as a cofactor. Okay, so vitamin B12, it is an important cobalt complex. Vitamin B12 is an important cobalt complex. So traces of cobalt, it is a minor micro element. Its traces are required in the diet for the mammals. So large amount of the cobalt can be harmful again. Even the large amount can be harmful. Okay, so traces of cobalt is only required 1 to 1.5 ppm are added. So to beer also to make froth better. There also it is used. It has been linked with increased rate of the heart failure among the heavy beer drinkers. You can see heavy beer drinkers. So traces of cobalt are added to the beer. So if that is taken more, the froth, it is due to the traces of cobalt. So if it is linked, heart rate, heart failure is more for the heavy drinkers. This cobalt increases. So this cobalt indirectly it is useful in the blood synthesis. So heart failures are due to excess of cobalt. So it is majorly seen in the heavy beer drinkers. So we have the even some of the dietary deficiency of the protein and thiamine also, and this leads to the failure. So absorption, incretion, and distribution, if you see, so nearly 70 to 80% of the cobalt is absorbed in the intestine. So coming to the absorption, oral manifestation, angular cirrhosis, okay, deficiency. So okay, before discussing deficiency, sources, meat and milk. Okay, so requirement daily. So daily requirement 3 micrograms only. It is only 3 micrograms. Okay, or 1 to 1.5 ppm. Okay, sources meat and milk. So that should not be exceeded. 70 to 80% of the ingested cobalt is readily absorbed in the intestine. So from isotopic studies, also 65% of the cobalt get excreted completely through the kidney. See, some of the studies also tell so if it is absorbed also, that is excreted 65%. Maximum amount of the cobalt it is found in the liver. It is in the liver. Okay, so for excess drinkers also you can observe the liver damage because cobalt is increased. It's found in the liver. So storage site is the liver. Okay, so for the most of the drinkers, this liver damage you can observe. It is a strong site. Only small amount is found in the tissues. Coming to the functions also I have discussed here. Cobalt is an important constituent of cyanocobalamin vitamin B12, and it is needed for the normal bone marrow functioning, a very, very important functioning. So it is very, very important for the bone marrow function. Okay, so the blood is synthesized from the bone marrow. So RBCs are synthesized from the bone marrows. They are synthesized in the bone marrow, and this bone marrow it is developed due to the vitamin B12. So deficiency of this may lead to the limitation of the vitamin B12 supply. Deficiency of cobalt will give you deficiency of the vitamin B12. So nutritional anemia, it may cause the anemia. Okay, why we are getting pernicious anemia? Pernicious anemia is only because it is due to the deficiency in cobalt. It leads to the deficiency of vitamin B12. Again, vitamin B12 deficiency will lead to the bone marrow, there will be no proper growth of the bone marrow, and RBCs, not erythrocytes, are not synthesized, and therefore anemia leads to anemia. And so anemia, even the iron can be one of the reason. So deficiency of cobalt, cobalt is also one of the reason. So if that is supply, if that gives to nutritional type of the anemia. If excess of cobalt is given, overproduction of erythrocytes, polycythemia may occur. If excess is given, polycythemia will be arrive. Okay, so ankylosing, gingiva, okay, detachment of the fibers you can see. Okay, polycythemic effect. Okay, polycythemic effect you can see. So next you can see methylcobalamin. It is metabolism for the certain bacteria which produce methane. For methane producing bacteria also a very important function. So I gave you only the functions in the human body. So methylcobalamin, it is important for the metabolism of certain bacteria which produce methane. So cobalt, it is a biological important in some enzymes also. So here two enzymes were given, still glutamic mutase also involved in the metabolism of the amino acids. Ribonucleotide reductase in the biosynthesis of DNA. Even these require traces of cobalt. Sorry. So methylcobalamin, it is important for certain bacteria to produce methane. At the same time, cobalt, it is biologically important for some of the enzymes. Already given here some of the enzymes. Similarly, cobalt for ribonucleotide reductase, biosynthesis of DNA, you'll be having that enzyme. By ribonucleotide reductase, it is useful in the biosynthesis of DNA. For that also, the cobalt is required. Similarly, glutamic mutase, metabolism of amino acids. There also you require the traces of the cobalt. So these are the functions of the cobalt. Still, whatever discussed is given in one more slide. So RBC formation, I told you for the other cells also. So next, cobalt as a part of B12, it is used to prevent anemia, particularly pernicious anemia. Vitamin B12 is also beneficial for some of the fatigue digestive disorders. For it is digestive disorders and neuromuscular problems. So you can see the uses radiotope, even certain treatment of the cancers nowadays we are using. For treatment of some of the cancers also, we are using this cobalt. So there is deficiency, at the same time you are having given the along with the deficiency you're having given the toxicity. So toxicity can occur here. Toxicity, it can occur, but that's nothing but it can occur from excess inorganic cobalt. So in the food contaminants, as I've told you, beer drinkers, cardiomyopathy, okay, enlarged heart. For the drinkers, this cobalt is added in the beer and excess content, which causes the toxicity. Okay, cognitive heart failure can be taken place. Okay, who are increased intake may affect the thyroid and cause overproduction of RBC. So thickened blood means you can just remember increased activity of the bone marrow. RBC is increased. Okay, so in this way, this cobalt, it can be the deficiency as well as the, along with the deficiency, even the toxicity is observed. Even the toxicity is observed. So we have seen the functions. We have seen the functions. We have seen the uses. You have seen the distribution. Okay. Next, deficiency and toxicities also. Now let us go for the importance of the nickel. So even the nickel, you have seen it is a micro element. Even the nickel, it is the essential element, but it is the it is nothing but even that is the micro element. So that is in the micro elements also probably essential element. This is a probably essential element. So Sources and distribution we'll see. Nickel occurs traces of amounts in human and animal tissues. So nickel occurs traces amounts in the human and the animal tissues. Okay, so it does not accumulate with the age in any of the human tissue other than lungs. It does not accumulate, okay, with the age in any of the human tissue. Okay, but exception of the lungs. It is poorly absorbed in the intestine. It is nicely extracted through the feces. Okay, so once if excess is taken, once if the excess is intake, then that is again excreted in the feces. So coming to the biological significance, protein contains nickel that occurs in the blood serum of the man and animals. Blood serum of the man and the animals. So we have seen previously cobalt, how they need it. It's nothing but cobalt, just like the cobalt, even this one importance. So a protein containing nickel occurs in the blood serum of the man and other animals. The enzyme Jack Bean urease contains similar to that of the cobalt. Even this is having some of the enzymatic activities. The enzyme Jack Bean urease, it contains nickel, okay, in the low concentrations. This enzyme is present in the plants and bacteria. This enzyme catalyzes urea, NH2CO, NH2, hydrolysis, carbon dioxide, ammonia is released. So oxidative state of the nickel in this enzyme is nothing but +3. So this a redox inactive nickel unit contains a octahedral nickel as a Lewis acid. So redox active nickel unit center, it's present in the other enzymes also. These are found in the bacteria. Hydrogenase. Okay, so nickel, it is present in hydrogenase enzyme. Okay, it protects the body from the oxidative damage. It protects the body from the oxidative damage. So next in the platelet, it leads to the bleeding disorders. Okay, so the platelets leads to the bleeding disorder. Okay, if this is not functioning, and thereby edema. And due to edema, it's just swelling, you'll be getting damage to the capillary membranes. Okay, it protects the phagocytes from destruction, the cells from the destruction. Okay, islands, tissues, neurons from the damage, this nickel will protect. Okay, islands, tissue damage and the neurons damage, it takes place. It is present in the hydrogenase, co-dehydrogenase enzyme. So using that, water is synthesized, H2 plus O2, again water is formed. So CODH, methylase coenzyme M reductase. In that enzyme also CODH, methylase coenzyme M reductase. In that also nickel is present as an important part. Okay, so this hydrogenase from methanoic bacteria, it gives some of the signals using the nickel 3 oxidation state. Nickel contains the octahedral coordination from nitrogen and sulfur donors. Okay, so nickel, it is having the coordination from nitrogen and the sulfurs. So the methyl coenzyme M reductase also catalyzes methyl group. So all these enzymes, so nickel is very important as a cofactor. So nickel is one of the most cancer causing metal also. It is even the cancer causing metal. The metal coenzyme M reductase catalyzes the reduction of methyl group to methyl enzyme. So for that also nickel is required. So it's nothing but nickel, it is having the cofactor functioning for some of the enzymes. So nickel, it's nothing but cancer, even that is the cancer causing nickel sulfide found in many nickel ores. Okay, carcinogenic for humans as well as the animals. So we have seen the biological significance. So it is a micro element required in traces. And for that also, I have given you the nickel functions. Okay, so distribution, sources and distribution, where it occurs trace amount only, humans and tissues. Okay, it doesn't accumulate with the age in any of the human tissue except of the lungs. So very poorly absorbed in the intestine. Okay, it is a micronutrient. It is excreted mainly through the feces. Once if it is more, its quantity is high, that gets excreted out. Okay, so nickel it occurs in the blood serum in the animals. In the mainly it is a constituent of the enzymes. So it protects from the phagocytes from destruction. Okay, so islands, tissues, neurons damage, it protects. Okay, so from the oxidative damage, it will protect. It is a main cofactor in the enzymes: dehydrogenase, co-dehydrogenase, methylase, coenzyme reductase. Okay, these are the functions, and in the hydrogenase. Okay, once if it is increased, it may lead even to the cancers. Okay, that is the functioning of the nickel. Now let us go for the copper. So in the copper, again coming to the copper, very interesting. After iron, after listening to the iron, almost to that of zinc, even the copper. So this copper, total copper content in the human body is almost 150 to 100 to 150 mg. It's present in almost all the tissues. Liver is the richest source of the copper. These are the sources. Now, coming to the functions. So copper is important constituent for certain enzymes that such as cytochrome oxidase, catalases, peroxidases, ascorbic acid, oxidase, urease, tyrosinase, cyto. So it's a very important constituent, just like the nickel even more than nickel. This is very important in the tissues. So this is again in the different enzymes, cytosolic superoxide, dimutase, etc. It is necessary for the growth and the bone formation. It is necessary for the growth and even the bone formation. So in the myelin sheets, in the nervous system, you'll be having the myelin sheets. So these myelin sheets will be having, this is a micro element, but it is having a great function. Myelin sheets also formation, it is useful. Helps in the incorporation of the iron into the hemoglobin. Iron into heme structure. Incorporation is governed by copper. Absorption of the iron from the gastrointestinal tract. Okay, it helps in the transfer of the iron from the tissues to the plasma. Copper, it is present in the plasma as the ceruloplasmin. Okay, now I'll in detail I'm going to discuss the ceruloplasmin. Okay, it helps in the absorption of the iron, incorporation of the iron in the hemoglobin, helps in the transfer of iron from tissues to the plasma. Okay, so indirectly incorporation, transportation, absorption of iron is totally governed by copper. So copper is present in the plasma as a ceruloplasmin. Ceruloplasmin. Okay, it is in the bound state. The concentration of ceruloplasmin in the plasma is 20 to 40 milligrams percentage. So the copper containing protein is RBC, erythrocyprin. In liver it is haplocyprin, and in the brain it is cerebrocyprin. So each part it is each organelle, each part it will be having in different forms, with along with the proteins. RBC, erythrocyprin, liver, haptocyprin, brain, cerebrocyprin. Okay, ceruloplasmin, you are having copper in the plasma, mostly body plasma, the copper is present as a ceruloplasmin. Now we'll see the functions of the ceruloplasmin. So this ceruloplasmin, it mainly releases the iron from the liver storage sites. The oxidation of the iron prior to completion of the transferrin. It acts as an oxidant in the blood serum. See, ceruloplasmin functions I'm telling. It releases iron from lung storage sites as an oxidant in the blood serum. The regulation of the serum biogenic amines, growth promoter in subcells, stimulation of angiogenesis in cornea and in the cell culture. So deficiency of the enzyme in serum reduces the mobilization of the iron from liver storage sites. This results in anemia. Okay, anemia causes, see, everything is interrelated. Again, anemia causes by copper deficiency is very rare generally. So we have seen cobalt, you can see iron, you can see, but iron anemia due to copper, it is very rare. So copper zinc superoxide diamide is small enzyme. Even copper zinc superoxide diamide, even that is an enzyme. So copper is important. This enzyme, it is having copper as well as the zinc attractive sites. It has two identical lobes. Each unit again by copper and zinc. These ions coordinate to form nitrogen in this enzyme. Copper plays functional role, great functional role. Okay, zinc is having a supportive role. So this enzyme, it's copper and zinc superoxide dimutase. In that enzyme, copper plays a major role. Okay, these are the functions of the copper. I hope you have understood. So we have discussed about the cobalt, nickel, copper. So all these are the trace elements. Now let us go for the zinc. Very, very important one, zinc. So biological zinc is widely distributed in the foods, both plants and animals, oysters, seafoods, liver, wheat, germ, yeast. Okay, so zinc, it has many functions. So once if you see the sources, there here the sources are given. Zinc, okay, grain flour, wheat germ, sunflower seeds. Nowadays they're advising to eat seeds. Soya beans, brown rice, spinach, carrots, chicken, shrimp, cheese, lentils. Still, many are their sources. Okay, plant and animal origin sources are there. Oysters, seafoods, liver, wheat germ using yeast, very rich in zinc. Yeast, it's not given here, but yeast it is having a very important rich source of the zinc. Even milk contains only 2 milligrams zinc per liter. Okay, now let us go for the functions of the zinc. We have seen the sources. So, and it plays a very important role. Enzyme action, vitamin A metabolism, insulin secretion, okay, for eyes, enzymes, insulin secretion, the zinc is used, growth and reproduction, for the wound healing, biosynthesis of mononucleotides, okay, binding regulatory proteins to DNA. Okay, so for the regulation proteins. Zinc finger motifs. Okay, zinc is an integral part of several biological. It is a several let's see here. Three unique motifs and zinc finger motifs. The zinc is an integral part of several biological important enzymes. So carbonic anhydrase, liver alcohol dehydrogenase, glutamate dehydrogenase, urease, you can see carboxypeptidase, kidney phosphatase, all these enzymes. So it is integral part. So insulin is also known to contain zinc. Okay, total amount of zinc in the pancreas will be reduced at the time of diabetes. So zinc is almost reduced at the time of diabetes. In leukemia, zinc content of leukocytes is reduced almost to 10% of the normal amount. Temporary therapeutic, okay. So amelioration, leukemia process, it is governed by rich zinc content. So poor body and for the poor body growth, okay. So decrease in the catalytic activities of the kidney, liver, you can be observed the deficiency occurs. So the balanced diet 0.3 milligrams per kg of body weight is suggested. Okay, now we'll see how the differences between the functions, excess and deficiency functions, how it takes place for both of them. So if the zinc is excess, what happens? If zinc is less, what happens? So if zinc excess, lethargy to the brain, focal neuronal deficiency, even the respiratory tract disorders will occur. Inhalation of zinc, excess inhalation of the zinc smoke, metal fume fever. You'll be getting respiratory tract problems. GIT problems also will be accounting. So nausea, vomiting, epigastric pain, diarrhea. Okay, GIT problems also will be accounted. So prostate or elevated risk of prostate cancer. Okay, systematic copper deficiency, it's almost like zinc. Next, coming to the zinc deficiency, we have seen zinc excess. Okay, generally, I explained you side by side zinc excess, what happens, brain problem, respiratory tract, GIT, prostate. Now, zinc deficiency difference, how it takes place for the brain, thymus, so decreased nerve conduction, and neurological problems will be getting, sensory problems, mental lethargy, excess, it should be in the moderate levels. So, thymus problems, skin problems, lesions, decreased wound healing, okay, acrodermis scaling, reproduction system infertility is there. Okay, hypogonadism, all the reproductive problems. Okay, genital development is also retarded with the zinc deficiency. This is the excess and deficiency, the problems due to zinc. It should be in the normal levels. So functions were discussed. Now let us go for the very important element, that is the iodine. So iodine nowadays, most of them are facing the thyroid problems. Most of the ladies are facing the problem of the thyroid problems. In the salts, you're not having proper iodine. So it is an essential element. It is an essential element, but it's a micro element. Though it is a micro element, essential micro element. Nowadays, we are observing this iodine problems, thyroid problems. Due to this iodine, you are getting again the thyroid problems. So we'll go for that. Biochemical functioning. Thyroid hormone T4 and T3, you can say thyroxine and triiodo. Total body contains 25 to 30 mg of the iodine. See, I have told you 1 mg. Okay, 1 to 100. So here total body it contains 25 to 30 mg of the iodine. Normal levels in the blood you can see 5 to 10 mg per day. 80% at the thyroid gland. Okay, daily requirement 150 to 200 micrograms per day. Now, so role of the iodine. How is the role of the iodine? So fetal body and the brain development, hearing system development, everything. So the main gland, pituitary here, the thyroid one. So thyroid functioning is only because of the iodine. So fetal body and brain development, hearing system development, normal prenatal body functioning you can see. Water. So factors that interfere with the iodine metabolism. Okay, cassava, cabbage here. So with the iodine metabolism. Here, cassava, cabbage, thiocyanates, fluoride, cerium deficiency, all these also cause the metabolism problem for the iodine. Now we'll see the functioning. So how is the functioning? The most important functioning of the iodine in the body is in the synthesis of the thyroid hormones. T3 I have told you, T4, triiodothyronine and tetraiodothyronine, T4. So large number of metabolic functions are governed because due to this thyroid hormones. So thyroid again indirectly, it is governed by the iodine. So deficiency of iodine leads to decreased production of T3 and T4. So enlargement of the thyroid tissue, iodine deficiency leading to the cause of preventable intellectual disability. Iodine deficiency gives rise to hypothyroidism. Symptoms is extreme fatigue, always they get sweat. Okay, goiter, mental slowing. So they don't respond quickly. So goiter, swelling of the neck, you can see. Fatigue, so depression, again weight, abnormal weight increase, you can see. So low base BMR, basal body temperatures. Okay, BMR also you can see, BMD also you can see, basal body temperatures and the metabolic rates we can see. Now the deficiency we'll see. How is the deficiency? Iodine deficiency component of the thyroid hormones T3. It's iodine. It's a component of the thyroid hormones T3 and the T4. It regulates various processes, including I've told you metabolic rate, heart rate, temperature, mental function. Now, if the deficiency occurs, how we can see? Children, adults, hypothyroidism, goiter is observed. Thyroid gland hyperplasia, it's due to TSH levels increased. Congenital hypothyroidism. So in fetus, infected mothers in the fetus also you can see. Intellectual impairment we can see. Okay, short stature, proper growth of the body. You can see there is no proper growth of the body. Okay, so hearing loss, speech loss, they couldn't talk and they couldn't hear. Such type of problems occur for the newborn baby. So congenital problems of the hypothyroidism, when the mother is not properly she's given the iodine diet, then the problem may arise. Such type of problem is congenital hypothyroidism. In fetus, you can see infected mothers of the fetus you can see. So there will the born babies problem are intellectual impairment, short stages, and speech and hearing loss. Such type of problems can be observed. Okay, so these are the, so I have discussed you. So for the iodine we have seen biochemical function, body requirement, normal levels we have seen. Okay, the role and the sources I have discussed, and now the functions we have discussed and the deficiencies also discussed for the iodine. Now let us go for the toxicity of the metals. Toxicity of the metals. So you can have the toxicity, very important, the bio inorganic chemistry. Mercury, lead, arsenic, all these are the toxic metals in the body. Once they enter into the body, their if their content increases, then their problem may arise if it is not excreted outside. So first we'll see the arsenic. Arsenic poisoning. It's nothing but silver gray color metal or tin white, shiny, brittle. It's a crystalline, metallic looking element. So symptoms, melanosis, dark color, melanosis, Brown's disease you can call. So face edema, swelling of the face, hyperpigmentation on the body. It may lead to the skin cancer. Okay, so these are the general symptoms. And later on, if it is increased, so dimness of the vision is lost. Okay, anoxia, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, weight loss. Okay, perforation of the nasal septum, chronic laryngitis, bronchitis. Okay, so for this generally. Now in the stomach you can see these problems. For the lungs, perforation of the nasal septum. So you can see whole nasal spectrum, you can see the holes, perforations. Okay, laryngitis and bronchitis you can see. And for the liver, if you see hepatomegalia, jaundice, cirrhosis, liver diseases can be observed. In the brain and in the heart also, hypertension, myocarditis. Okay, general diseases, hypertension. Next in the brain, encephalopathy, they forget, no proper impairment, they couldn't hear. Okay, so encephalopathy, polyneuritis, tremor. Okay, they couldn't walk, do the work, walking impairment, everything. So impairment occurs, they couldn't do proper. So from the brain, a total functioning, the signals will go on. If the brain is damaged, then the total body is damaged. So encephalopathy, polyneuris, neural problems will be getting tremors. Okay, difficulty in walking. Along with us, they couldn't do proper work. They forget. No smell, no proper vision. All these problems may arise. This is the symptoms for the arsenic poisoning. Now we'll go for the see organs. In that organ, how it is damaging. We have seen. Now we'll go for the treatment. So treatment supportive measures, many you can see. Gastric lavage, intravenous fluids are given, cardiac monitoring is done. Every now and then cardiac monitoring, how is the heartbeat, heart rate, how is the pumping, how is the pressure. Intravenous fluids are sent into the body and thereby gastric lavage. So cleaning of the stomach. Gastric lavage, intravenous fluids through the salines, the fluids are ingested and thereby the arsenic is brought outside. So hemodialysis they'll do, cleaning the blood, exchange transfusion they take. Okay, chelation therapy also, British BALU, very famous one. Okay, arsenic poisoning during the World War II. There you can see British anti-leukocyte for 3 to 5 milligrams. 3 to 5 milligrams per kg for 4 hours they'll be giving. So urinary arsenic excretion drops, okay, 50 mcg for 24 hours. Usually it will take 7 to 10 days continuous treatment. And penicillin is also given 100 milligrams per kg of the body. 6 hours they'll be giving for 5 days. So if patient is not allergic, they'll give this penicillin. Okay, in this way they do the treatment. So we have seen the arsenic poisoning, how it is. So the compounds injure, destroy the cells, are no nothing but poisons, protoplasmic poisons you call. So it reacts with the sulfuryl groups. This arsenic, it reacts with the all the sulfur groups. Okay, so person, its skin and visceral cancers also it may lead. Okay, all the protein sulfur groups it will be reactive. So the we have seen how to cure it. We have seen. Okay. Now let us go for the poisoning of the mercury. So arsenic, lead, mercury, almost the same. Toxicity and the treatment is also the same. So you can see the toxic effects of the mercury. Diarrhea. Okay. So cardiovascular system also weak pulse, increased blood pressure, chest pain, almost the same poisoning, just like arsenic, even it is having the poisoning. In the chest area also, there will be a pain, respiratory problems, weakness and problems with the breathing. Okay, cough, continuous cough will be getting. Neurological symptoms also you can see headache, okay, tetanus, switching to various areas in the body, eyelid, okay, feet, etc. Memory loss, allergies, weight gain, okay, weight gain, digestion problems, skin rashes, cold feet, so no proper body temperature. Okay, next, immune dysfunctioning, joint stiffness, so walking problem, fatigue, high bp, heart problems, irritability, mental confusion, no proper work. Okay, so you're having different treatments here: treatment of the acute poisoning, treatment of the chronic uh, poisoning you'll be having. So, see, generally, toxicity symptoms for the acute mercury poisoning, severe gastrointestinal irritation, metallic taste for the mouth, you can see, excessive saliva, inflammation of the gums, renal impairment, acute mercury poisoning. Nothing but treated by the administration of the proteins, egg milk, giving suspensions. Here, treatment I'm telling you. Administration of the proteins and eggs, milk. Okay, so giving suspension of the medicinal charcoal by gastric lavage. Previously, how I have shown you gastric lavage. In the similar way, they gave the suspension of the, yeah, of the medical charcoal, gastric lavage. Okay, by gastric lavage up to 15 minutes if you do, administration of the dimer-caprol, administration of the dimer-caprol, okay, and uh, acetyl D-penicillin. Okay, by this you can control the acute stage of the mercury poisoning. Chronic mercury poisoning, it is characterized nothing but by irritability, headache, I've told you, and easy fatiguability, colitis, stomatitis, increased salivation, dermatitis, liver damage, renal damage. For all these, acute also, antidote is given, dimer-caprol. British anti-leucine during the World War II it was given. So antidote is dimer-caprol. Antidote dimer-caprol is given for the poisoning of the mercury as well as even for the lead as well as for the arsenic. So almost it's the same. Okay. So once again, a toxicity of the lead also it's almost same. Yeah, they use the calcium and phosphate salts for the acute poisoning of the lead. Okay. So similarly, in this way, they keep the persons who are working in different industries generally account for this problems. Okay, weed killers and the farmer workers in the factories, fruit sprays, sheep tips. So how you are getting this poisoning is nothing but the chronic arsenic poisoning. If you take industrial and drinking water, okay, in the workers in factories producing fruit sprays, sheep tips, weed killers. So the persons who are working in the industries of the manufacture of these compounds, when they are exposed to potassium arsenide, sodium arsenide, possibly the dangerous arsenic may get inhaled into their body. So sometimes it gets excreted, but sometimes it gets deposited, and it may cause the acute or the it may cause the acute poisoning or else a chronic poisoning. And how to control also we have seen. Okay, so today's class is the second session for the bio inorganic chemistry. So in the bioinorganic chemistry, today's class I have discussed about the cobalt importance. Okay. So cobalt importance, nickel importance, so cyanocobalamin. Okay. Again, the classification is given: cobalt importance, distribution, functioning, digestion, poison, deficiency, how it takes place. And then for nickel also it's discussed. And the next element it is copper, then zinc, sources, deficiency, functions, everything given. Iodine also talked for you. And poisoning of the metals is also discussed in this session. Toxicity, arsenic poisoning, how it's going on, and mercury poisoning, similarly lead, and what is the treatment we have discussed. I hope everybody have understood this session. Okay, thank you everybody.